Hey everyone, I'm Sarah, and welcome to Native Speakers.
And I'm Johnny. We're here to help you master English through real-life situations.
Today, we're diving into workplace relationships and professional communication.
Trust me, after 15 years in corporate America, I've learned a thing or two about office English.
Let's get started.
Part 1. First Impressions and Greetings.
All right, Sarah, let's set the scene. Imagine it's my first day at a new company. I walk into the office and I see you at the coffee machine. What happens?
Well, Johnny, first impressions are everything in the workplace, so I'd probably turn around, smile, and say, "Hi there, you must be new. I'm Sarah from the marketing department. Welcome aboard."
Perfect. And notice what Sarah did there. She didn't just say hi and walk away. She used welcome aboard. That's a really calming expression in professional settings. It's warm, but still professional.
Exactly. And Johnny, what would you say back?
I'd say, thanks so much. I'm Johnny. I just started in the sales department today. It's great to meet you. Now here's something important. Johnny used, it's great to meet you, instead of just, nice to meet you. Both work, but great adds a bit more enthusiasm without being over the top.
Right. And in a workplace setting, you want to strike that balance. You're friendly, but you're not acting like you're at a party with your best friends.
So let me ask you, Johnny, what if someone introduces themselves and you didn't quite catch their name?
Oh, this happens to me all the time. Here's what I do. "I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name. Could you repeat that?"
That's perfect. You could also say, sorry, what was your name again? Or, I apologize, could you say that one more time?
The key word here is apologize or sorry. Even though it's not really your fault, showing that courtesy makes you seem professional and attentive.
Now, let's talk about small talk. Johnny, after we've introduced ourselves at the coffee machine, what would you say next?
Well, I might ask, "How long have you been with the company, Sarah?"
I've been here for about 3 years now. Time really flies. How are you finding your first day so far?
It's been a bit overwhelming, to be honest, but everyone's been really welcoming.
Did you catch that phrase, everyone? Johnny said, to be honest, this is a really natural way to add sincerity to your statement. It makes you sound genuine and relatable.
And Sarah responded to my feelings by asking a follow-up question. That's crucial in building workplace relationships, showing genuine interest.
Okay, so fast forward a few hours. Johnny, you're at your desk and you're completely lost with the company's software system. What do you do?
This is where it gets tricky, right? You don't want to seem incompetent, but you also need help. So I might walk over to a coworker and say, "Hey, excuse me, I hate to bother you, but I'm having some trouble with the database system. Would you mind showing me how to access the client files?"
Perfect. Let's break that down. Johnny started with, I hate to bother you. This acknowledges that the person is busy and shows respect for their time.
Then I was specific about what I needed help with. I didn't just say, "I need help." I explained exactly what the problem was.
And you ended with, would you mind showing me? You could also say, could you possibly help me with this? Or, I was wondering if you could.
The key word here is "would you mind" or "could you possibly." That's a polite way to ask.
Now, Sarah, let's say you're the coworker I'm asking. How would you respond?
Of course, no problem at all. Let me just finish this email and I'll be right over. Should take me about 5 minutes.
See that? Sarah didn't drop everything immediately, which would be unrealistic. She set a clear time frame, 5 minutes. That's professional communication.
And if I were really swamped and couldn't help right away, I might say, "I'd love to help, but I'm on a tight deadline right now. Could we do this during lunch, or would this afternoon work better for you?"
That's offering an alternative. You're not saying no, you're finding a solution that works for both of you. Exactly. Now, Johnny, what if you want to offer help to someone proactively?
Good question. Let's say I notice you struggling with a heavy box of files. I might say, "Sarah, that looks heavy. Can I give you a hand with that?"
Oh, that would be great. I've been trying to move these to the storage room. I really appreciate it.
"Give you a hand" is a super common idiom meaning help you. You'll hear this constantly in English-speaking workplaces.
Other ways to offer help include, do you need any assistance? Or, let me help you with that. Or even, I've got this, you take a break.
Part 3. Meetings and Professional Discussions. Johnny. All right, Sarah, now we're in a team meeting. This is where professional English really matters. Let's role play. I'm leading the meeting.
Sounds good.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining today's meeting. I want to start by going over last quarter's sales figures, and then we'll discuss our strategy for the upcoming campaign. Sarah, would you like to kick us off with the marketing report?
Sure, Johnny. Thanks for having me present. So, looking at our social media metrics, we've seen a 15% increase in engagement over the past 3 months. However, I think there's still room for improvement in our email campaign conversion rates.
Let's pause there. Notice how Sarah started with a positive, the increase in engagement, before mentioning an area that needs work. This is called the sandwich method, and it's very common in professional settings.
Right. You don't want to start with all the problems. You acknowledge what's working, then address challenges, and ideally end on a positive note or with solutions.
Now, Sarah, what if you disagree with something I said in the meeting?
This is delicate. I wouldn't say, "You're wrong, Johnny." Instead, I might say, "I see where you're coming from, Johnny, but I have a slightly different perspective. From what I've observed in the marketing data, it seems like..."
Perfect. That's called a soft disagreement. You acknowledge my point first, I see where you're coming from, and then you present your alternative view.
Other phrases for polite disagreement include, "I appreciate your point, but have we considered..." or "That's an interesting approach, though I wonder if we might also..."
And what if you want to build on someone's idea in a meeting?
I might say, "That's a great point, Johnny. Building on what you just said, what if we also implemented a referral program?"
Building on what you said, that's excellent collaborative language. You're showing you were listening and adding value.
Or you could say, "To add to Johnny's point," or "expanding on that idea."
Now, what about asking questions in meetings? You don't want to seem clueless, but I think you need some clarification.
I'd say, "Just to make sure I understand correctly, are we planning to launch this campaign in Q2 or Q3? Or could you clarify what you mean by integrated approach?"
Those are both great because they're specific and show you're engaged, not just confused. Part 4. Email communication and written correspondence. Sarah.
Johnny, we can't talk about workplace English without discussing emails. They're everywhere in modern offices.
Oh boy, I've sent thousands of work emails. Let's break down a typical one. Sarah, imagine I need to email you about a project deadline.
Okay, what would you write?
Hi, Sarah. I hope this email finds you well. I'm reaching out regarding the Q2 marketing proposal. I wanted to check in and see how the draft is coming along. We have our review meeting scheduled for Friday, so if you could send me the preliminary version by Wednesday afternoon, that would be fantastic. Let me know if you need any support or if you'd like to discuss any challenges you are facing. Best regards, Johnny.
Wow, let's unpack that because there's so much good professional language there.
First, I hope this email finds you well. This is a super common opening. It's a polite way to start, especially if you haven't communicated with the person recently.
You could also say, "I hope you're doing well," or even just jump into the content if you email frequently.
Then I said, I'm reaching out regarding. This is formal and clear. You could also say, I'm writing to follow up on, or I wanted to touch base about.
Touch base is a great idiom. It means to make contact or check in with someone.
Right. Then I said, I wanted to check in and see how the draft is coming along. I'm asking for an update, but in a friendly, non-aggressive way.
Instead of demanding, "Where's my draft?" you're showing interest in the process. That's emotionally intelligent communication.
And notice I gave a specific deadline, Wednesday afternoon, not just soon or when you can.
Clear deadlines prevent confusion, and you followed it with, "That would be fantastic," which softens the request.
Then I offered support. Let me know if you need any support. This shows you're a team player, not just a boss giving orders.
How would I respond to that email, Johnny?
Go ahead.
Hi, Johnny. Thanks for reaching out. The draft is progressing well. I'm currently finalizing the budget section and should have everything ready by Wednesday morning. I'll send it over before noon to give you plenty of time to review. I might need your input on the projected ROI figures, but I'll flag that in the document. I'll keep you posted on my progress. Thanks for checking in. Best, Sarah.
Excellent. Sarah acknowledged my email, gave me a status update, provided a specific timeline, and proactively mentioned where she might need help.
And I ended with, I'll keep you posted, which means I'll provide updates. Other similar phrases are, I'll keep you in the loop, or I'll update you as things progress.
What about more difficult emails, Sarah? Like if you need to deliver bad news?
Those are tough. Let's say I need to tell you that a project is delayed. I might write, Hi, Johnny. I wanted to update you on the marketing proposal timeline. Unfortunately, due to some unexpected complications with the vendor data, we're experiencing a slight delay. The new target completion date is now next Monday instead of this Friday. I apologize for any inconvenience this may cause and want to assure you that the team is working diligently to maintain quality while meeting this revised deadline. Please let me know if we'd like to discuss this further or if we need to adjust any dependent timelines. Best regards, Sarah.
That's really well constructed. You were upfront about the delay. You didn't bury it in the middle of the email.
Exactly. Bad news should be delivered clearly but professionally. I used unfortunately to show this isn't ideal and slight delay to frame it as manageable.
You also explained why. Expected complications with vendor data and gave a new specific deadline.
And I apologized and offered to discuss further. That's showing accountability.
Part 5. Handling Conflict and Difficult Conversations. Okay, Sarah, let's tackle the hard stuff. Not every workplace interaction is smooth. What happens when there's conflict?
Right. Let's say you and I are working on a project together, and you keep missing deadlines, which is affecting my work. How do I bring this up?
This is where many people struggle. They either avoid the conversation or come in too aggressively.
Exactly. So I might approach you and say, Johnny, do you have a few minutes to chat? I wanted to discuss our project timeline.
Good start. You're not ambushing me, you're asking for time and being specific about the topic.
Then I might say, I've noticed that the last couple of deadlines we agreed on have been pushed back, and it's starting to impact my ability to complete my portions on time. I wanted to check in and see if something is going on that I'm not aware of, or if there's a way we can restructure the timeline to make it more manageable for both of us.
Wow, that's professional conflict resolution right there. Let's break it down.
I used I've noticed and I wanted to check in. These are non-accusatory. I'm not saying you're always late or you're unreliable.
You also acknowledged that there might be factors you don't know about, something going on that I'm not aware of. That shows empathy.
And I offered a solution, restructure the timeline, instead of just complaining.
Now, as the person receiving this feedback, here's how I might respond. Sarah, I really appreciate you bringing this to my attention. You're absolutely right. I have been falling behind, and I apologize for how that's affected your work. I've been dealing with some unexpected issues on another project, but that's not an excuse. Let's sit down and look at the timeline together. Maybe we can adjust some of the milestones, or I can delegate some of my tasks to free up bandwidth.
That's a great response. You acknowledged the issue, apologized, explained without making excuses, and proposed a collaborative solution.
Key phrases in conflict resolution include, I understand your concern. Let's find a solution together. I take responsibility for, and how can we move forward?
What about if someone is being passive-aggressive, like if a coworker sends a snarky email?
Ooh, that's tricky. The best approach is usually not to respond in kind. You rise above it.
Right. If someone sends you an email that says, I'm surprised you didn't remember to include the data, but I guess I'll just do it myself, you don't fire back.
Instead, you might respond, Thanks for catching that omission. I appreciate you taking the initiative. In the future, please feel free to reach out directly if you notice something missing, and I'll address it right away. Thanks for your collaboration.
You're being professional, acknowledging their point, but also setting a boundary. Reach out directly, which suggests face-to-face communication rather than passive-aggressive emails.
Part 6. Giving and receiving feedback. Sarah, let's talk about performance reviews and feedback. This is crucial workplace English.
Absolutely. Johnny, let's say I'm your manager and I need to give you constructive criticism about a presentation you gave.
Okay, go for it.
I wanted to talk with you about yesterday's client presentation. First, I thought your opening was really strong. You captured their attention right away, and your energy was excellent. I did notice that when you got to the data section, things became a bit rushed. Some of the clients seemed confused about the metrics. For next time, I'd suggest slowing down during technical portions and maybe using more visual aids to illustrate the numbers. What do you think?
Perfect example of the feedback sandwich. You started with something positive, addressed the area for improvement, gave a specific suggestion, and ended with a question that invites dialogue.
Exactly. The question, what do you think, is important because it makes this a conversation, not a lecture.
Now, as the person receiving feedback, here's how I might respond. Sarah, I really appreciate you bringing this to my attention. You're absolutely right. I have been falling behind, and I apologize for how that's affected your work. I've been dealing with some unexpected issues on another project, but that's not an excuse. Let's sit down and look at the timeline together. Maybe we can adjust some of the milestones, or I can delegate some of my tasks to free up bandwidth.
That's a great response. You acknowledged the issue, apologized, explained without making excuses, and proposed a collaborative solution.
Key phrases for receiving feedback include, I understand your concern. That's a fair point. I'll work on that. And can you give me an example of what that would look like?
And if you disagree with the feedback?
You can still be professional. You might say, I appreciate your feedback, Sarah. I had a slightly different read on the situation. From my perspective, the client seemed engaged during the data section, and several asked specific questions that suggested they were following along. That said, I'm absolutely open to improving my delivery. Could we maybe review the meeting notes together to get a fuller picture?
That's mature and professional. You're not dismissing the feedback, but you're offering your perspective and suggesting a collaborative approach to understanding what happened.
Part 7. Networking and building relationships. Sarah, workplace relationships aren't just about getting work done. There's a whole social component, too.
True. Let's talk about the break room, the water cooler, lunch conversations. That's where a lot of relationship building happens.
Okay, so we're both in the break room. I'm heating my lunch, and you walk in. What's the small talk?
I might say, hey, Johnny, how's your week going so far?
Pretty good, thanks. Busy, but good. How about you?
Same here. I'm drowning in emails, but that's nothing new. Are you doing anything fun this weekend?
See, Sarah just shifted from work to personal life in a natural way. This is how you build rapport.
Right. And Johnny, you could answer, actually, yeah, I'm planning to check out that new hiking trail everyone's been talking about. Are you into hiking at all?
I used to be. I haven't gone in a while, though. Where's the trail?
And now we're having a real conversation. This is how coworkers become friendly colleagues instead of just people who happen to work in the same building.
But there's a balance, right? You don't want to overshare or get too personal.
Exactly. Safe small talk topics include weekend plans, hobbies, pets, food, TV shows, movies, sports, travel, and general life stuff.
Topics to generally avoid unless you know the person well are politics, religion, controversial social issues, salary, romantic relationships, and anything too personal.
Right. If someone asks you about something you'd rather not discuss, you can politely deflect. For example, if someone asks, who did you vote for? You could say, oh, I prefer to keep my political views private, but I'm always happy to discuss policy issues if you're interested.
Or simply, I'd rather not get into that at work, but thanks for asking.
Now, what about company social events, like a happy hour after work?
These can be great for relationship building, but you have to remember it's still a work function. Even though it's more casual, you're still representing yourself professionally.
Right. So if we're at a happy hour, you might say, Sarah, can I get you a drink?
Oh, that's nice of you. I'll just have a soda, thanks.
And notice I specified what I wanted. You don't have to drink alcohol at work events if you don't want to.
Absolutely. And even if you do drink, keep it moderate. Nobody wants to be the person who got drunk at the office party.
At these events, it's a good time to chat with people from other departments. You might say, "Hi, I don't think we've met. I'm Sarah from marketing. What do you do here?"
And the conversation flows from there. These relationships can be really valuable for your career because you're building a network within the company.
Part 8. Professional Boundaries and Cultural Awareness. Sarah, something we haven't touched on yet is professional boundaries and cultural differences in workplace communication.
This is so important, especially in diverse workplaces.
Let's talk about physical boundaries first. In American workplaces, what's appropriate?
Generally, handshakes are fine for introductions and greetings. Beyond that, you want to be careful with physical contact.
Right. A brief pat on the shoulder might be okay in some contexts, but hugs are usually reserved for people you know well, and even then, be mindful.
And definitely respect people's personal space, generally about arm's length distance for professional conversations.
Now, different cultures have different norms. In some cultures, direct eye contact is a sign of confidence and honesty. In others, it can be seen as disrespectful.
The best approach is to be observant and adaptable. If you're working with people from different cultural backgrounds, do a little research about their communication norms.
For example, in some Asian cultures, directly saying no might be considered rude, so people might give indirect negative responses.
So if someone says, "That might be difficult," or "I'll need to check with my team," they might actually be declining politely.
Whereas in American business culture, directness is often valued. People appreciate it when you're clear and straightforward.
But not harsh. There's a difference between being direct and being rude.
Exactly. You can be clear and kind at the same time. For instance, "I appreciate the offer, but that timeline doesn't work for our team," is direct but professional.
What about titles and formality? When do you use someone's first name versus Mr. or Ms.?
In most American workplaces, first names are standard, even with bosses, but take your cues from the environment.
If everyone calls the CEO Mr. Smith, you should too, at least until he tells you otherwise.
And if you're unsure, you can ask, "What would you like me to call you?" Or, "Do you prefer your first name, or should I use Mr. Johnson?"
That shows respect and awareness.
Part 9. Remote Work Communication. Sarah. Johnny, we can't talk about modern workplace English without discussing remote work and digital communication.
So true. Video calls, chat platforms, virtual meetings, these have their own etiquette.
Let's start with video calls. What's important there?
First, technical stuff. Can everyone hear me okay? Or, "Sarah, I think you're on mute." Or, "Your video seems to be frozen."
And because people can't read body language as easily, you need to be more explicit with your reactions. You might say, "I'm nodding in agreement," or "just to confirm I understand."
Right, and at the beginning of calls, "Thanks everyone for joining. Can everyone see my screen?" Or, "I'm going to share my screen now."
For ending calls, before we wrap up, does anyone have any questions? Or, "I'll send out the meeting notes this afternoon."
Now, what about instant messaging platforms like Slack or Teams?
These are more casual than email, but still professional. You might start with, "Hey Johnny, quick question about the report." Or, "Do you have a minute to discuss the project?"
And it's okay to use some emojis or GIFs in these platforms. They add personality and tone to text-based communication.
But use them appropriately. A thumbs-up emoji to acknowledge a message is fine. A party parrot GIF might not be appropriate for serious topics.
Exactly. Read the room, even if the room is virtual.
One important thing about chat platforms, response time expectations. If someone messages you, they usually expect a faster response than email.
Right. Even if you can't fully answer, you might say, "Got it. Let me look into this and get back to you in 30 minutes."
That's much better than leaving someone hanging, wondering if you saw their message. Part 10.
career advancement communication.
Sarah, let's talk about using English to advance your career. This includes talking about promotions, raises, and professional development.
This is where many people get uncomfortable, but it's so important. Let's say I want to ask my boss about promotion opportunities. How do I start that conversation?
You might schedule a meeting and say, "Thanks for meeting with me. I wanted to discuss my career trajectory here. I've been in my current role for 2 years now, and I've really enjoyed taking on additional responsibilities like leading the Q3 project. I'm interested in understanding what the path to advancement looks like and what skills or accomplishments I should focus on to move into a senior role."
That's perfect, because you're not demanding a promotion, you're asking about the process and what you need to do.
Exactly. You've also highlighted your accomplishments, leading the Q3 project, to show you're already performing beyond your current role.
Other useful phrases: I'd like to discuss my professional development goals. What competencies should I focus on to advance? Or how can I position myself for future opportunities?
Now, what about asking for a raise?
This requires preparation. You need data. You might say, I've been researching industry standards for someone with my experience and responsibilities, and I found that the typical salary range is X to Y. Based on my performance and contributions, including specific achievements, I believe my compensation should be adjusted to reflect the value I bring to the team.
You're using data, not emotions. You're not saying, "I need more money" or "I deserve a raise." You're making a business case.
And if they say no?
You could respond, "I understand. Can you help me understand what I would need to accomplish to make this happen in the future? What timeline should we revisit this conversation?"
That keeps the door open and shows you're committed to growth.
Part 11. Leaving a job professionally. Sarah, eventually people change jobs. How do you communicate about leaving professionally?
First, the resignation conversation. This is usually with your direct supervisor, and it should be in person or over video, not via email initially.
You might say, "Thank you for meeting with me. This is a difficult conversation, but I wanted to let you know that I've accepted a position with another company. My last day will be 2 weeks from today, on March 15th. I'm committed to making this transition as smooth as possible."
Notice Sarah was clear, gave a specific end date, and offered to help with the transition.
Right. You don't have to explain in detail why you're leaving, unless you want to. You could simply say, "I've decided to pursue a different opportunity that aligns more closely with my long-term career goals."
And even if you're leaving because you hate your job, don't burn bridges. You might say, "I've really appreciated the opportunities I've had here and the chance to work with talented people."
After resigning, you send a formal resignation letter via email. It's brief. "Dear manager's name, this letter confirms our conversation today. My last day of employment will be March 15th, 2026. Thank you for the opportunities I've had during my time here. I'll work to ensure a smooth transition over the next 2 weeks. Sincerely, Sarah."
And during those last 2 weeks, maintain professionalism. Offer to train your replacement, document your work, and finish projects.
You might reach out to colleagues. "Hi everyone, I wanted to let you know that I'll be leaving the company on March 15th. I've really enjoyed working with you all. Please feel free to stay in touch. Here's my personal email and LinkedIn profile."
Keeping those professional relationships alive is important. You never know when your paths might cross again.
Wow, Johnny, we've covered a lot today.
We really have. From first introductions to resignation letters, we've walked through so many workplace scenarios.
The key takeaway is that professional English isn't about using big, fancy words. It's about being clear, respectful, and considerate in your communication.
Exactly. Whether you're asking for help, giving feedback, or navigating conflict, the principles are the same. Be polite, be specific, and be professional.
Remember, building good coworker relationships takes time. Don't be discouraged if these phrases feel awkward at first. The more you practice, the more natural they'll become.
And every workplace is different. Some are more formal, some are more casual. Pay attention to the culture of your specific workplace and adapt accordingly.
One last thing, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Native English speakers make communication errors all the time. What matters is your willingness to learn and improve.
If you found this lesson helpful, please subscribe to Native Speakers. We post new lessons every week covering all aspects of real-world English.
Hit that notification bell so you never miss a lesson, and let us know in the comments what workplace scenarios you'd like us to cover next.
And if you want more practice, check out our other videos on business English, email writing, and professional presentations.
Remember, your English doesn't have to be perfect to be effective. Confidence and clarity go a long way.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Keep practicing, stay motivated, and we'll see you in the next lesson.
Until next time, keep learning and keep growing. Bye!